Now,
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Rockstar podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Eric. And once again, welcome to an afternoon of all things coffee, a little bit of chatting about the weekend and what's been happening last week. So, hey, Eric, what's up?
Wolfex. Wolfex is done.
Woofex is
So
done. Congratulations. It's finally finished. What? How did it go? I was there for a few days, but I wasn't there every single day like you. How did it go? How did it turn out? How was the crowd? How was what would our viewers want to know about Ufex?
so for those who don't know, Wolfex is a trade show that happens in Manila. So it's been ongoing for a number of years already. It's a show that happens in different regions as well. So this is Wolfex Manila, and then I think they have other shows. So there's like Wolfex Davao, Wolfex Cebu, Wolfex. I don't know where the other ones are because um, they've kind of done a few regional ones, but they've also pulled out some of the regional ones. So there was also Wolfex Drinks, which was the technically the first show of the year this year. So if you're looking at it from parang an industry, I guess, trade show, this one gears towards normally B2B, and then you on the last day they open it to the public, which becomes B2C. Interestingly, on the first day, not interestingly, but I think it's been an ongoing thing where the first day a lot of the booths didn't have power, as you
Oh,
probably
interesting.
experienced during your takeover in the Serenity Bar.
Yeah,
So
on the first day, my bar takeover. I had a bar takeover at the Serenity Bar, and it started. I think, parang anong oras tayo nag-start? Mga 12 ata or
mm,
1, something like that. And yeah, the power there was power, there was lights, but most of the booth on the second floor did not have enough power for their machines. And it was kind of funny because everyone really wanted coffee already, and everyone was like, really, yeah, they wanted their coffee. They wanted to wake up, especially after lunch. People were already asking for drinks, and most of the booth didn't have coffee, and we had a bar takeover. And since I was there for Serenity, and there was a few cool flavors that we were promoting at the time, yeah, we had no choice but to serve um, banana milk. So one of the new flavors of Serenity is this really delicious banana flavor, and it works so well with milk. And we initially wanted to serve it with coffee, but since there was no coffee, it was just banana milk. We were also doing some drinks without coffee, and we're using soda. So we were serving yuzu soda, which is super nice. We also had a yuzu plus. What was the other flavor we put in? It was yuzu, lemon honey, I think,
okay.
or it was something like that. And that one worked really nice as well.
Mm.
So, hey guys, everyone who's joining the Coffee Rockstar podcast, welcome to the show. We're just doing a little bit of a rewind, talking about Woofex and what's going on. Today, we're actually doing this chat for a few reasons. One, to catch up with you guys and catch up with each other. The other one is we're testing out the chat because the last episode the chat wasn't working. So guys, if you guys want to get involved, or if you guys want to join in the chat, well, you're welcome to feel free to put something in, and we'll talk about it, and we'll see if the software is working this time. So yeah. So that's Woofex. Yeah, but the first few hours it wasn't working, and then my second bar takeover on the first day was at the Fly Ace booth. They had power. I think everyone in the first floor had power. The booths were massive. Most of them were 2 floors high, and it was wild. It was something really, yeah. It was something to see,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think all in all, I don't know. Like, is Woofex, like, I know you join, or Condens joins Woofex every year. Henry and Sons no longer joins it. Um, does it work for you as a business, as an entrepreneur? Is it something you would recommend to other people who are especially growing their business?
Uh, how do I say this without getting in trouble? Well, no, I don't. I won't get in trouble for it. But I think the cost of Wolfex is really parang it's a lot of money out. Parang realistically, it's a lot of money out. For people who are just starting up, I don't think it's really worthwhile because of the amount of money that you're going to be shelling out. Uh, you're and well, I guess it depends on how much or how established you really are. It might even make more sense. I've seen a lot, and what we've been doing a lot with is trying to collaborate with a lot of other companies to have them do takeovers to showcase some of their coffees. Just because it also opens a different parang it opens a different uh, angle. If you have people do takeovers for you, this I think would clearly just go into marketing expense, especially if you get a bigger booth. A few
Okay.
people I was actually chatting with was talking about the cost of just doing SCA, parang World of Coffee, di ba? I think that might be something, uh, even for more so the smaller companies that can showcase Philippine coffees do, especially now that World of Coffee Tokyo is going to be happening. I
Right.
think approaching it from gathering together a few people to take a booth at Roasters Village and just parang taking turns to man the booth would be a good direction. I think the challenging thing if you do that is how do you get the coffees out of Philippines?
I think, yeah, that's a really good point. Like, Roasters Village at the SCA trade shows is something. Um, it I think doing foreign trade shows is a good idea as long as the the purpose is defined, right? So, for example, we do know that shipping or exporting our coffee is expensive. So, for example, if someone in the US, Japan, or Europe wants to buy one of our bags of coffees, the shipping is more expensive than the coffee itself. So does it still make sense to even look at that market, right? So that's one thing. But if we're looking for distributors in different regions and different countries, then it might make sense. So, um, yeah, like, I think Roasters Village would be something really interesting as long as there is a reason to do it, like a distributor. For example, your syrups, right? Like, promoting your syrups in an SEA show makes total sense. But if it's, to promote, I don't know, like, one of our coffees, for example, or something that's right off the shelf coffees that are minimal in terms of value, right? And the shipping just won't work, then it might not be worth the effort.
Well, I always wonder why shipping outside of Philippines, like going out of Philippines is so expensive because even when you're looking at parang ordering something from let's say eBay. Kasi if we
Mm-hmm.
order again, I can only go back to Pokemon cards. If we order Pokemon cards on eBay and have it shipped to Manila, eh, there's a premium on it. Parang it's expensive for just a little card.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're looking at shows right now, if going back to card shows, the way they actually look at pricing is they don't just look at pricing of the current eBay price. They also account for the shipping into it. So that's why it's always a markup. Parang sabihin lang nila, oh, it's selling from the last sold on eBay at this, but you still have to pay shipping if you're gonna ship from eBay to Philippines. So that's like an extra $50 USD. So parang it's hard to gauge what the value of an item is because they mark it up with shipping na. And sabihin mo na lang, that's why I'm buying it here. So to avoid the shipping. So hindi ka talaga malalamang if you're trying to buy stuff on that level. I've tried ordering inside, coming in. Walang problem. Well, at least for Ali, Taobao. Taobao, I
Okay.
think is pretty good. Kasi I ordered the like that. It's a Garfield design cup. It's the one that you'd use for your competition. Kuchi, Cocinaire. Is it called Cocinaire?
Cucinare. Cucinare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ordered that one, and it actually worked out. It was really easy. It arrived. It was safe. Um, yeah. So I would say, I guess if you order in from China, it's a little bit easier compared to like having something shipped from the US to Manila.
See, I think that's something where, like, that's something that definitely I believe the government needs to help us out on. Because imagine the items from the US, for example, like if I order something, right? They charge $5 for shipping. Like that's nothing, right? Like magkano ba ang $5?
300 pesos.
300 pesos, 'di ba? US hanggang dito yun. But if we are shipping something out to the US, 3,000 pesos ang shipping. 'Di ba? So parang hindi align, parang yung the treatment of the shipping from going out versus going in is unfair, right? How are you gonna export our stuff if it costs that much? Like yan, yung mini-mention mo, the Taobao thing, right? Like if you order stuff from Taobao, it just arrives. It just arrives. Like and the speed that it arrives at is reasonable, right? Price wise, they don't even most of them don't even charge shipping. Like walang patong. Some of them, yeah. Like
Really?
built into the price. Yeah. So why is it like that? Right? There's something wrong. Like how is it that when you're ordering coffee from Malaysia, for example, on Shopee, right? You can order from Malaysia, but our Shopee cannot send to Malaysia.
Yeah.
Like why is it? Yeah. So paano na tayo mga negosyanteng mga Filipinos, right? Like why is it it has to be made, or at least DTI has to make it so that it's fair for us to compete abroad, not one way, right? Because, you know, talking about trade shows, it would be worth our time to do trade shows abroad if we can ship our items at reasonable prices, because that's the turn off, eh. Like maybe we promote Liberica, for example. Like we were promoting Liberica in Korea, right? There's a lot of people who showed interest, and when they see the shipping costs, they said forget it, because the shipping costs more than the Liberica itself, or it significantly increases the price of the Liberica that it's no longer sellable for them. So talagang I think it needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. Another example with it is our Better Vessel. Better Vessel, we are selling it at our SRP is 3,980, something like that, right? Shipping is 3,500. So yung mga customers natin, yung no matter how much they want to buy the item, right? They would rather buy it from somewhere else. So here's the crazy thing. I have a distributor in the US. They charge people $5 international shipping, ship to anywhere. So our customers who love the product, this Philippine-made product, would rather buy this Philippine-made product in the US because it's just $5 shipping. While kung bibilin sa atin, lumalabas almost 40, $50 shipping, 'di ba? Parang walang ka sense ang nangyayari.
But what I don't understand is if you buy something from Amazon.com, and you get
Okay.
it's like if you spend $50 on some items, it's free shipping to Manila. But
Yeah.
if you want to return it, they actually provide you like a shipping label, like, and it's free. Which I'm trying to figure out how they arrange. I guess that's a private organ. Parang that's something with contract that they have with their delivery service, or how does that work?
I think it's something they work out with their own um it's their
Logistics.
own deal. I think it's something they worked out, right? It's something that they figured out how to do, or baka the business just swallows it. Like, lost na nila yon for customer happiness. They just eat up the margins there.
Phil Post kaya is the one that's trying to figure. I guess it's Phil Post that deals with the shipping, isn't it? Or
I don't know. I got a shipment today from someone who makes cups, and it was shipped here via some carrier that I'm not familiar with, and
okay,
then it was then repackaged into a JNT packaging, and then it was
okay.
shipped to me. So parang may talon-talon sila. Like it
Mm.
was shipped through one carrier, and then like the local shipping was done through another, right? So guys, welcome to the Coffee Rockstar podcast. We're just having a chat about shipping, and we're more or less ranting, complaining. But these are some of the things or challenges we're facing as entrepreneurs. So kung may mga things that you guys are facing as entrepreneurs that are challenging, or if you guys want some advice on coffee entrepreneurship or anything else, wag lang love life, feel free to contribute in the chat. So yeah, again, we're testing out the chat function on this software. We're checking if it is working or not. At the moment, um, the Henry and Sons page has typed into the chat. We can see it at least. If anyone else out there is there, A-B says hi masters. So there you go. Thank you for contributing to the chat. At least now we know it's working.
Yep.
So that's a relief. Kasi naman gusto namin makita kung gumagana o hindi. So if anyone wants to contribute to the chat, feel free to join in. At the moment, we are talking about shipping, and yeah, let's go back to UFEX. So I feel day one was an okay day. It was a little bit crowded. There's a few things that I felt can improve about that trade show. First of all, I think the house rules has to be tightened because the speakers of some of the booths around were just blasting. And alam mo, yung mga purpose nito mga trade show na to is para makapag-usap, makapagnegosyo, para so people can talk and promote their products. But if there's booths that are blasting their music, right? Like with no care about the rest of the people, that's like a bad neighbor. Alam mo yung lalo na ngayon magbe-Burmans na, no? Alam mo yung mga nagkakaraoke sa kalsada, parang ganun eh. Di ba? Yung okay lang sana kung maganda yung boses ka lang. Ito, antinis. Antinis ng boses. Like, it was really bad. It was high-pitched. And they are non-stop. Like I don't know if that person who was talking was paid or paid talent. But my gosh, kung katrabaho ko yun, that's, yeah,
But
it was, well, you had to deal with it all, what's that, 3, 4 days?
okay, so I would say that the way they promote it, parang I guess that type of show or the way promotion works in certain shows, but it shouldn't be in Wolfex. Just because Wolfex carries a weight more of a professional, parang we're going after B2B. The way it was being organized or parang announced was more parang tindera. Yung it feels like you're in a wet
Yeah,
market where they're
parang
parang
nasa
flagging
palengke
you
ka.
out. Sample po, please try. Yung ganon. So it was very parang it felt like I was watching a TikTok show. Yung alam mo yung mga live that they're very noisy, very parang I think if you were doing a showcase like a professional parang presenting certain items, I think that would be fine. But if you're just yelling and then if they have like yucky speakers, the feedback, like I could feel my brain kind of ringing. So, it's something. Parang, I guess if it was on a stage, I guess something like that. Parang it felt like a noontime show, and I think that's what people should avoid or try to avoid. Again, you won't see things like that in international shows. Parang that type of selling or
No way.
technical selling.
That that felt like a paleng. It was very crass, and I think it was very unprofessional. So yeah, that was one annoying thing that I found. But there were some booths that were very professional. It was
Mhm.
nice, quiet. They were really there to meet customers and really talk. But yeah, that one booth was just terrible. Like, I mean, there was no respect for their neighbors. They were noisy and very unprofessional, I feel, right? Like, you don't do that in one top shows in the Philippines. And I think the organizers should have called them out. I'm sure people were complaining and they didn't. So, UFEX, kung nanonood ka, please improve. It's not cheap to join these things. It's not, a lot of people are actually think long and hard about spending that kind of money to join UFEX. So UFEX organizers, if you guys are listening, please improve. Please make sure that people understand the house rules and hindi na siya maulit. Once again, like, for most of the exhibitors, they invest a lot of money and they expect to have an ROI on it, right? Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the loud, noisy booth
Well,
that was there.
other people who were there, what else was happening there? So pretty much that was an issue throughout most of the show, and it wasn't isolated to just us. We were just there, but it was happening in different areas throughout the whole show. So let's just not make it clear. Hindi lang naman isang booth yung nandoon. It was done throughout.
Yeah.
Kasi I remembered was it Lance Hendricks who was in the H Proper booth? Was it Lance Hendricks?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was trying to talk, but the speakers behind the music was blaring around him that a lot of people couldn't hear what he was trying to share. So it was kind of parang I guess he was also probably thrown aback. It's like, what's going on here? Why is it so loud? Why do I have to speak over speakers?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yun nga, lack of respect, lack of following house rules. It's just parang palengke. So I think the quality of the show, though a lot of people do only one show and
yep,
they invest millions in one of these shows, um, it's still, they need to realize that it has to be worth the time of the businessmen who invest, right? Like tayo, Conlins, we still join the show, right? Henry and Sons no longer joins the show because it was never worth it for us, because of these kind of things, right? Like the lack of professionality, para siyang palengke, ang gulo-gulo. There's a lot of people who just come for the free stuff, right? I remember during my bar takeover at one of the booths on the first floor, the owners of the booth said that grabe, parang buffet. Yung people are treating this like a buffet, right? They would come, eat, and then like eat and then go to the next booth, eat, go to the next booth and eat. So it's though there are some quality customers that come, a huge population of them is just there to get freebies, right? So unlike if you go to SCA, for example, or international trade show, it's not like that. Like the quality of customers you get, and we've done shows abroad. The qualities of customers you get is buyers talaga, like legit buyers who are serious about doing business. Like, Serenity syrup is being exported to the Middle East because of shows like this, right? Like, not here, we did it abroad. But yung nga, kung yung mga shows na joinan natin abroad, parang palengke din, wag na lang, di ba?
Well, like, okay, so you look at it from two ends, right? Because on the other hand, uh, the scale of business here in the Philippines is also not to the scale as international. Parang we have people who are smaller consumers that do smaller volumes. So I guess it's a mixed bag. I think what Wolfex tried to do to limit more casual buyers, they did increase price now. I think entrance now is 400 pesos. I heard to get in, just to kind of filter out the people who are attending. Um, I don't know. But overall, you wonder whether or not people attend shows. Because it's a lot of people who, if you look at the people who partake in it, it's apparently a lot more people who were not able to join the show because wala daw space. So next year they're actually going to be there's going to be three venues now. So SMX World Trade and the new trade hall that SM is building right in the front, which uh, looks really really big. So it's kind of surprising na bakit ayaw na lang nila urungin lahat doon kasi that new hall looks massive.
Well, if you look at it at the point of view of the business as well, right? Like, at the end of the day, these expos, the guys who organize it, they are a business. So the more spaces they have available to lease out or to rent out to business owners, the more they make. So that's why they're not going to consolidate. They're gonna have many spaces, many venues, so that they can take on more customers. So for them, it makes total sense to keep their customers happy, keep their clientele happy. Baka naman ang magandang idea siguro is isang venue parang palengke, yung mga maiingay lagay doon, magingayan sila, palakasan ng music. Tapos yung mga seryosong negosyo, yung mga gumagastos ng milyon-milyon para doon sa mga booth nila na medyo may respect at saka medyo magalang, ilagay nila sa isang lugar para sama-sama sila mga tahimik doon. Right? So, I think pwede namang gawin yon. That would be a nice idea. I hope they fix it. But in terms of trade shows, there's so many like food shows that are happening. So there's WUFEX, IFEX, MAFBEX. Ang dami nangyayari, 'di ba? And these days, I think the most out of those shows so far, I've attended most of them. I've seen how they work. I think Wolfex, yeah, give them credit where credit is due. It's the most well attended, both from the consumer and the business side of things.
Yep.
Um, but I think it could still improve.
Oh,
In terms of shows abroad, though, from feedback from friends and industry people, the coffee festivals in apparently in Hong Kong, in Singapore, these are pretty good to join. It's actually worth your time to do them because yung nga, it's buying customers and it's specialty, right? It's people looking for specialty coffee. The conversations are also pretty good apparently in those things. And from from my observation, wala namang people blasting with music. Like it's serious people.
well, I think that it's also different because there has been definitely a growth of coffee festivals here as well. Recently, there was I think last month yata, so there was Manila Coffee Fest,
That
and then
was, I
I
think,
think
2 weeks ago.
yeah, and then next in September there's going to be Coffee Please in Ayala Circuit. That's going to be where the Aeropress Championship is going to be. And then in October, you have Capecon, which is going to be in Makati. So definitely a lot more of these individual coffee-centric pop-ups happening. And I think SM's even doing a coffee show across their malls. So definitely a lot of opportunities to showcase the specialty coffee and parang going direct to the user. It was funny. So I a lot more access or events promoting specialty coffee, I guess, or pour overs. However you choose to classify specialty coffee, just because I think even the idea of specialty coffee is being debated by people now because some people feel that it's more mainstream. So is it still technically parang they just say it's a pour over or parang I don't know. I know there's a movement to try to normalize to make specialty coffee not so parang sound bougie.
Well, um, yeah, like I think the definition of specialty coffee is evolving. Definitely, there's a lot of online debate on specialty coffee. What specialty coffee is. Um, but I think yung nga, ang ganda these days is there's so many opportunity for entrepreneurs or startups to showcase their product, especially in these small events, right? In terms of investment, to have a booth in one of these events, it's not huge, right? Unless yung nga mag food show kayo, yun mabigat talaga yung investment. Kaya lang yung mga fairs like Coffee Please or yung Capicon, is it called Capicon?
Yeah, I think it's
Um, these ones I don't think it's out of reach, right? Like, it's you pay a little bit, you can actually ROI. It's actually possible to ROI on these things. As long as you don't spend a bomb on your setup. And usually walang nagse-set up walang nagpapatayo ng two-floor structure sa mga ganito. It's just basically a table, you bring your espresso machine or your pour over set, and then you promote your coffee, right? What's important in these shows is to have something to sell, to have something to showcase that would differentiate yourself from other participants. Um, may question tayo dito, and it's from well, here it says A-B, AB De Vera. Ang sabi niya, let's show it on the stream. Out of curiosity lang po, freshly harvested versus old green coffee, roasted and brewed using the same method. How does the freshness of the green affect? Let's read it. How does the freshness of the green coffee affect the final cup? May similarity ba ang green beans sa rice, even mongo beans? Na okay lang kahit couple of years na nakasak. Salamat po sa mga sagot. So, thank you for that question. Eric, do you want to answer that or shall I?
uh I guess well we can both have our own takes.
Okay, you go first, and then I can go next.
All
But
right.
sobrang thank you for the contribution to the conversation. I think this is something really important. Go, Eric.
So the freshness of a coffee, technically, it depends what you're serving it to. I find that if the coffee is old or if it's fresh, you can still adjust your roast parameters to compensate for that. As long as you're not parang one size fits all roaster. If your coffee is, let's say, past crop or from the previous year, because we're looking at it from a perspective that coffee it still needs to have moisture in it because when you're shipping it you're roasting it pa it's not like rice where it's completely dried already or sabihin lang natin yung mongo where it's I don't know what the moisture activity of mongo is but for coffee naman you still need a certain amount of moisture inside your coffee in order to have it roast properly if not it's just going to burn. I would say that yes, it does affect the cup, depending on how you roast your coffee. Now, there are some coffees that are green that are maintained in, like, let's say, a moisture controlled atmosphere or whatnot, where it technically you can get away with it. Technically, some people like to put their coffees in freezers. Pero if you're looking at it from the scale of commercial, parang let's say general, parang commercial grade coffee, most people will not store their commercial grade coffees into a freezer or a parang high humidity controlled facility just because you're turning over the coffee in such a quick rate. Whether you're looking into parang more small lots and whatnot, I think Michael would be able to give you a better idea of how he roasts his competition coffees and how long he can store his competition coffees.
All right. So, yeah, exactly. Like, yung nga, kung ang turnover nga ng kape is, yung nga, for example, dito sa amin, we turn over our coffees, 15 to 20 tons per month, right? That's a lot of coffee. Hindi na siya uupo sa bodega. Like, the longest it would sit in the warehouse, siguro, longest maybe a month, right? Longest was it would sit in the bodega for a month. So imagine refrigerating or even putting temperature control in that bodega just to keep those coffees fresh. It doesn't really make sense, right? Especially since the turnover is that fast. Um, Keep in mind these coffees also, or a lot of the coffees we roast in the roastery sat in a container at sea for months and months. And these containers that are it's shipped in, though it has the moisture control bags, it's still deteriorating. Nawawala pa rin yung moisture content at saka flavors niya. So like Eric was mentioning, if your turnover is high and you don't need to keep the coffees that long, then protecting the coffees from with humidity and temperature control doesn't really make sense. But if you are taking care of specialty coffee, like competition coffee or coffees that are two, three, four times higher in value, then it becomes important to really store these coffees well, right? Kasi yung nga the it's not just the moisture of the coffee you're trying to protect. You're protecting the flavors, the volatile aroma compounds in these coffees. When you talk about volatile aroma compounds, nawawala nga, kaya nga volatile, di ba? So, in order to protect it, you have to put it in not just the sako or the jute sack. Kasi yung jute sack, it also imparts taste. May lasa yun eh. There's a term in coffee called baggy. Yung term na baggy, kung sinabing baggy yung coffee mo, ibig sabihin, lasa siyang sako. Right? So in order to protect your specialty coffee from these things, you need to place it in Grain Pro bags, which is a brand of bags, or in plastic bags, just to keep the moisture in. Um, like Eric was mentioning, a lot of our competition coffees we keep in freezers. And by keeping it in a freezer, as long as the freezer is maintained and is in good condition, hindi yung nabunot na pala, tunaw na pala lahat. As long as it's working and you're checking it often and making sure it's running, it should keep your coffee as good as the day you put it in, right? So it like freezes time.
Question. So when you put your coffees in the freezer, how is it packed? Is it just parang nakabag lang, Ziploc, or do you vacuum seal, or what's the proper way to store it in the freezer if it's green?
So the roasters that we have here, for specialty coffee, we roast our coffees in 3 kilos, 700 grams, and 150. So what we do is we portion pack all the coffees before it goes in. So it's all stored by date, by batch, by so it's really organized. So we put it in the freezer. We portion pack it, put it in the freezer, and then before we roast it, we let it thaw. We don't roast it right out of the freezer because that would mean that the the coffee would not roast evenly all the way to the inside because the inside of the coffee is frozen, right? So there is a technique to this system, and yung nga, like it's not something I suggest for everyone unless you guys are planning to do, really go into specialty, and if the value of the coffee really has warrants it, 'di ba? Or yung turnover mo ganun kabagal. Like I mean, if you're just selling, you know, 5 kilos a month, and you have 100 kilos of coffee, you should put it in the freezer, right? Like it's a big freezer, but uh, it ensures that your customers who are buying these coffees get the full potential of the coffee. Because as coffee ages, it loses its potential. So I have coffee in the freezer that I took out just a few days ago that I had since 2019.
Oh,
And they are just as good as when they were in 2019. So pwede mo sabihin na vintage coffee siya, right? Like vintage like wine, right? But unlike wine, it doesn't get better as it gets older. It's just a way to remind us, and the reason why I do this, and from time to time I take my coffee out of the freezer and taste it, is it's just to remind me where we were in 2019. Like how coffee was in 2019. Is coffee getting better now, right? So, for example, I have a Gesha Village coffee from 2019 and I compared it to this year's crop, and it's nice to see like how far we've gone because it's different. Like back in 2019, that coffee is one of the best coffees I ever had, and now it's just something regular that we have.
so I'm curious because I've heard this term thrown around. Heirloom coffees. Is that
Okay,
it?
heirloom coffee. So now you're confusing age, right? Age, yung isa vintage. Kung sinabi mo vintage coffee, ibig sabihin luma. Ang
Okay.
heirloom coffee naman is it means hindi mo alam yung varietal.
Okay.
Basically, that's what it means, right? Like, kung sinabi mong heirloom Ethiopian coffee, it means it's a bunch of varietals from Ethiopia of which you don't know what they are, but you're sure it's orig, right? So kung
Okay.
sinabi mong heirloom Benguet coffee, right? So it's one of those varietals in Benguet that was planted back there that's unspecified, right? You don't know what it is. But your guess is because those trees have been there for 100 years, heirloom siya. Parang heirloom, parang ano, yung minana mo sa lola mo, right? Heirloom yon, like heirloom jewelry. Hey,
Oh.
Chrissy has a question. Uh, so, ang tanong ni Chrissy is, are you going to release new coffees like last year? Um, so, we do have a few new coffees. This time, for this year, we're releasing some Liberica coffees and Excelsa coffees, or Divuiri coffees, because the harvest from our Arabica growing region was really small, that it sobrang konti eh. So we sold out really, really fast of those coffees. The moment they dried, we sold them. But luckily enough, we have quite a bit of Liberica coffees from Laguna this year. And I've cupped them, I've tasted them last week. They taste really, really good. I'm not sure yet if it's something that we'd like to release this year, as a huge release, or if we're going to trickle it down all the way till December para umabot siya sa 12 days of Christmas.
So that leads us to another thing that we talk about age. That just reminded me since you mentioned the um, scarcity. For a while, I know even in Vietnam and even in some producing countries like Brazil, a lot of the farmers were holding out on their crop. So nakatago lang sa warehouse nila. So when they're keeping it in a warehouse because they're trying to maintain the scarcity marketing, na they're trying to limit the outflow of coffees that are there. So if they feel that the price points are dipping a little bit too low, a lot of the farmers were keeping it in warehouses. So they're hoping that when the market goes up, they have excess stock to sell. And that just go parang I do think that a lot of the larger parang producing nations do have a lot of coffee naka-stockpile lang in their warehouses. It's and that will go into how good your relationship is with the person who brings in or who exports the coffee from that country to you na. Kasi for a while there were some traders that we're saying, oh, this is new crop, but it's technically past crop na. Kasi you could see it from the color or the how aged the coffee is. Not to say that the coffee is bad, it's just not as fresh. So it means that the moisture of it is a lot less compared to how it was when new crop siya.
Yeah, it's not just the Vietnamese and the Brazilian farmers that do this. Our farmers do it as well. So the farmers here in the Philippines usually they keep it in the parchment or in the cherry, and they keep it in their storage area till they need funds, right? Like because to them, that's one way for them to save money or not have a backup plan. Parang yan yung backup plan nila. Kung kailangan na nila ng pera, doon nila ipapadihal yung kape tapos doon nila ititinda. The downside to that is if you keep it in your warehouse in cherry or parchment form with unprotected or naka-jute sack lang, that's when the coffee borers, like those little tiny insects, starts like eating into the coffee, right? And these things, if you see one, that means there's 1,000, and it puts holes in the coffee and it starts to rot. Nagkakaroon siya ng molds sa loob. So I think the best way to store coffee for the long run is to put it in vacuum sealed bags, because these coffee borers are animals, and if you take out the oxygen, you take out the air, it dies. So I think it's a good idea to keep coffee as a backup, but yung nga sana pinoprotect din, di ba? Kasi even though, and we heard this before, it takes years and years and years for the coffee borer to finish the coffee itself, di ba? Sa butas. But as a consumer, as a customer, if you receive coffee with butas, right, and you pay, the right value, the correct value, or maybe higher market value for it, you still wouldn't want to receive something substandard or with molds. So, I think yung nga, kailangan lang i-educate paano yung proper packaging and how to safeguard the coffees from pests, right? Like both of us, we've received these. Like yung pagkabukas mo ng bag, the stuff flies at you and starts biting. These things bite. and oo nga, like people say hulog mo sa roaster, di patay sila lahat. Yeah, but butas-butas pa rin yung kape mo.
Now, well, since we're talking about scarcity, because I was chatting with somebody who was telling me, oh, it's good that there are so many more people who are promoting Liberica on a global stage. I'm finding it interesting that we have a limited amount of Liberica. Parang the demand is there because there's a lot of interest in it. Because if you go to, let's say, Japan, Korea, it's usually the Libericas that sell out. That's the one that they ask for. But to what extent is there enough supply for Liberica for that much interest? Because I noticed that even other countries such as Malaysia or Indonesia, they also say are now incorporating Liberica into their competition coffees. Where are we with regards to that?
I think from what I've seen, right? From what I've seen, if our consumers or even if the consumers abroad is willing to pay the right price for these Libericas, there is enough. Kasi during harvest, you'll see the saddest thing. A lot of these Libericas just rot on the trees because the coffee farmers feel or the farmers feel that they're not getting paid enough for the effort to harvest these coffees. Coffee is difficult kasi, especially farming. Like, and lalo na kung ang Liberica kasi, kung namumunga, sobrang dami niyan. Like, the branches, Liberica excelsa, the branches will like tilt down sa bigat, right? And if you're going to harvest it, it doesn't all ripen at the same time, right? You have to keep coming back every week if you really want to harvest it properly. So, harvesting is difficult. Not only is it difficult, a lot of these trees that have been planted, 10, 15 years ago, they're as tall as coconut trees. So, because yung nga ayaw nga i-prune ng mga farmers, one, two, they're not getting paid enough to harvest it. You can actually see them on ladders like harvesting it if talagang gusto nilang mag-harvest. And yun pa lang, buwis buhay na eh. Like, I mean, it's not the safest thing to climb a ladder just to pick coffees, right? So, it really comes down to, is making it worth the farmer's time to prune the tree, right? Guarantee that you'll buy it too, and buy it at the right price. And that's not just like from roaster to farmer. Like, I think it's the entire chain. Like, if the consumer, the end consumer, like wherever we export it to, is willing to pay the price for it, then I think there will be enough. Kasi marami ng mga nag-inquire. Gusto nila bumili ng Liberica. And then tatanong mo, how much Liberica do you want? Sabihin nila by the tons. Gusto nila isang container. Kaya lang yung presyo naman na gusto nilang ibayad, mas mura pa sa Robusta. Eh wag na lang, di ba? Like, I mean, where are we going to get the margins for everyone else in the value chain? It's not just the exporter. There's also the pickers, right? The processors, the farmer themselves, right? So if the end user is willing to pay, let's say Gesha price, if they're willing to pay Gesha price for the Liberica, oh yeah, there's gonna be enough because there's not much trees out there, right? But are they willing? Because in terms of taste profile, it's pretty far, right? Like, I mean, for the same price of kung ipapresyo mo yung Liberica kapresyo ng Robusta or mababa pa, walang like, I mean, it's not gonna be worth the time because it's not easy to harvest, right? So it comes down to, is the consumers willing to pay for this coffee? And if they are, then I believe there will be enough. Plus, here's the other thing about Liberica and Excelsa. It doesn't require elevation to grow. It doesn't require high elevation. Plus, it doesn't need the low temperatures, right? So that means if there is a market for it, it's something we can all work on, right? We don't need to be at 1,900 meters above sea level or 1,500 meters above sea level. Kahit sea level. Well, a little bit over sea level, like 100 meters above sea level, you can plant it na. At the back of your backyard, it will grow.
So, yan.
There's
So, business idea. Magtanim na tayo ng Liberica sa likod ng bahay.
Yeah, but still, yeah, I think it needs to be in the soil. One, the soil must be taken care of, and then the price has to be right.
It's so funny that you're saying that the soil needs to be taken care of. Kasi if titingnan mo na nga yung kalye dito sa Manila, bako-bako na. And that's the stuff that we're actually walking on and using every day. Lupa pa kaya.
Yeah. So, ayun. So, hey guys, everyone who's watching the Coffee Rockstar podcast, welcome to the show. If you'd like to contribute to the conversation, feel free to enter the chat and put something down. We'll get to your comments. In the meantime, we're just chatting about Liberica. We talked about UFEX earlier today. A little bit of coffee fairs. What else is happening in the industry?
Well, okay. So it was funny because it was the first time I guess it happened beforehand, but not so. In the booth, I was standing there, and then there was these two people who came up to me and showed me a brochure, and then they were offering me espresso machines that looked like, and they said, "Oh, it looks just like a La Marzocco." I was like,
Just like?
yeah, I was like, just like, and I was like, okay. They said that they're a manufacturing company from China. They have a big factory, blah 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 blah. And then I was like, okay. I didn't realize that they're now parang sales agents who are walking around the show catalog selling. And then when I was like, well, what's the price? And they were like, oh, 2,000 USD. I was like, oh, so it's priced just like a La Marzocco. And it was really weird because I was encountering a lot of people doing that. So there was somebody who was showcasing their grinder, their coffee machines, They're trying to find distributors for their grinders, and it's like a XYZ. So parang eh, I guess they're trying to find distributors, which is a very interesting approach. Because a lot of people here I know who are parang have the capacity to distribute go to shows. Like let's say they'll go to Hotel X, or they'll go to maybe SCA. A few of them probably went to SCA Bangkok or SCA Jakarta. So, pero when I did go to SCA, to Hotel X, there was so many machines from parang China that I was like, wow. Pero price point, I I didn't get na sabi ko, why are you pricing yourself like you're comparing it to the real thing, but you're also priced as the real thing.
Siguro akala nila since tunog palengke yung yung katabi mong booth, yung na tatawad ka parang palengke. Kaya pinresyohan niyang mataas para tumawad ka, 'di ba, ng half price. Baka ganon.
Okay.
Hinga.
Let's go.
So there's a comment here. I've tasted pour over, light roasted, floral, tea like aromatic, etc. But yung nag-stand out sa akin is yung parang may fruit punch na taste or good acidity or something fizzy. Pa-verify po if this is Gesha or 80 plus na score. Eric, can you take that one?
Well, from the way it sounds like you tasted a lot of very positive flavors out of that coffee. Now, with everything lang naman, just because it's a geisha, there's still areas where parang just because it's a geisha doesn't mean it's gonna be 100% like top of the line amazing. Kasi there's still parang there's allowances eh. So, but from the way it sounds like you found a lot of aromatics and a lot of positive notes. But one of the things that I also want you to consider when you're looking at it, I would say from the sounds of it, it's already an 80 plus, right? So the fact that you have notes of florals, fruit, with good acidity, yeah, I would say it would be probably like an 82, 83. Gesha itself isn't a score per se. Parang sabihin lang natin, when you're saying 80 plus, there's 82, 83, 84, all the way to like 90 plus, right? So one thing that you might want to also consider when you're looking at something that scores like 85 and up would be how clear are the flavors? How parang in your face, parang how distinct are these flavors? Is it very muddled or is it very distinct? The more distinct and clear the flavors are, I would say that would score a lot higher. I would say when you describe a coffee as parang fruit basket, like every other fruit, but you can't really specify what type of fruit, I would say that would still be around parang low 80s. But when it becomes very distinct, very clear, yung sabi mo, oh, I taste hawthorn with bergamot acidity with X, Y, and Z. That's when you start going into like the upper mid to upper 80s. But again, not all geishas are created equally, and it's not a classification na porket lang geisha siya, it's parang automatic 90 plus. Though in competition wise, you can always see that it's always geishas that are always in the top 6, usually in the last few years. Whether that changes or not,
Well, yeah, like you said, there are geishas that don't taste good. There are some, right? Ang story nga ng geisha it's the ugly duckling of coffee. It was first planted who knows when, long time ago, and it didn't have the right elevation. It was growing at a low elevation. and the farmers realized not only is the yield of Gesha coffee low, in terms of productivity, it wasn't tasting so good until I think in the mid 90s, 1990s, 1995, mga ganon, they discovered that they were ready to like chop all these trees down, and they discovered that at a certain elevation it starts tasting good. So, yun na. Doon na naging uso ang Gesha. So, Gesha requires elevation. Just like many kinds of Arabica coffees, it becomes beautiful at the right elevation. And yeah, currently Geshas are that popular because it has distinct notes, right? It's got florality, it's got the citrus taste, it's got that tea-like flavor, and it's winning competitions. That's why it's so popular. So yeah, the characteristics that you described, I would say could be a Gesha. It might be something else. There are coffees or arabicas that are locally grown that go through processing, like complicated processing styles that would have that tropical fruit flavor, right? In terms of score, I think the easiest way to know if a coffee is above an 80 is malinis ba siya? May defect ba siya? Kung walang defect, malinis, and there's like flavors, positive flavors that you can pinpoint, hindi negative positive flavors you can pinpoint, then maybe it could be an 80 plus. But for me, these scores from 0 to 100, wala nga atang zero na coffee eh. But yung nga 80 plus and up, um, I don't really rely on that anymore. Like for me, I look at malinis ba siya, and is it something that my customers would wanna taste. So a few more people jumped in onto the chat. So Don Gab said hi sir. Hello Don, good afternoon. Ayun, natawa si Ray, sabi niya, tunog palengke. Oo nga eh. Totoo Ray, nandoon ka rin. And Don Pepoy says, shout out mga master. Shout out. Hey Don, what's up? And even Rui gave us coffee and a hand heart. So thanks everyone who's jumped on to the chat. It's a really interesting conversation we're having today. Yung mga score ng coffee and Geshas. Speaking of Geshas, the Best of Panama just happened this weekend, and it was a wash Gesha that I believe got the top score. And I don't know. I don't know if how much longer Gesha is going to have the top seat in the world of coffee. For a time, I thought there was a time where specialty coffee or the competitors were all crazy about Eugenioides, but the volume and the process is so difficult. It's so difficult to grow. Two, the volume is so little. It had no chance to come close to Gesha. There's other varietals now that are out there, and so far, wala pa eh. Nothing comes close to it.
It's always challenging whenever because even when the moment that they hear that you're using a geisha, there's already a preconceived notion that parang you already have expectations of what you're gonna taste, and it can always push towards parang they creates a certain bias parang when you hear certain things. So it's always interesting. I remember you mentioned before there was a competitor that didn't declare or announce what their coffee was until the very end, or did they announce it afterwards na? So just to give the judges a little bit more clarity when it comes down to tasting the flavors. Because, syempre, in the moment that you hear certain things, you already are expecting certain notes that you will zero in or try to zero in and emphasize versus if you didn't know.
Yeah. I don't know if it helps the competitor if they don't tell the judges outright what coffee they're serving. But as a consumer though, I would like to know what I'm drinking. Like, or I'd
Well,
like to know what I was ordering. That way I know what to expect, right? Like I don't want yung kung isa-surprise mo ko, okay lang kung masarap. Kailangan wag mo ako isa-surprise kung hindi
well,
masarap.
it's like somebody giving you your adobo, diba? If they say, I'm giving you adobo, you have preconceived notions of what the adobo is going to be or what it would taste like. Pero if they
Yeah.
give you an adobo and it was like, it had orange and strawberries in it, how would you react? But assuming that it was good, ah.
I don't know how I would react. I'd be pretty pissed off that they called it an adobo.
Cultural appropriation. Excuse it.
I'd be pretty pissed off that they called something they put strawberries in an adobo, but dapat dapat sulat nila na may strawberry yung adobo nila para hindi ako magulat, di ba?
Transparency. They'll say it
Transparent.
after they serve it to you.
I'd still be pissed. I'd be like, why, why are you wrecking my food? So there's a comment here. Also, it's doable. 40 ml espresso. I've tasted. It was like a ristretto. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I've tasted some Benguet Typica
Mm.
that has properties of what you would think is a geisha. Um, but I think the Philippine Typica, which is really nice, also it doesn't have the productivity is also low,
Mm.
and when you see the tree, it looks like it's gonna die. So it gets you a little bit worried if you see an old Typica. It looks like it's a dying tree, but it's got cherries and it's not so much. In terms of taste, masarap siya. It's got properties of a geisha, less florality, but more of the nice citrus notes that you get from geishas. Um, like for example, in Itogon, masarap yung mga typical nila doon. It tastes clean, especially a wash typica is nice. So, guys in the chat and people who are watching, thank you for watching. If you guys have anything you guys would like us to talk about, or if you want to join in the conversation, you're welcome to join in. At the moment, we're just talking about varietals. Ano pa mga happening natin?
Well,
By the way, we will be traveling. The Coffee Rock Stars will be traveling to Iloilo. Uh, from tomorrow, we'll be there tomorrow until Wednesday. So if anyone wants to hang out or reach out, or if there's any good coffee shops you guys want us to pass by and check out, please let us know, because we are looking for good coffee shops to visit, and maybe we can talk about it in the next episode, or maybe we can even film some stuff there and show it to you guys. Yeah, it's gonna be my first time in Iloilo. I've never been there, and I think it would be. I'm a little bit excited about the trip. We're gonna be visiting a robusta farm, and let's see what we find there.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear that Iloilo's nice to run in. So that's something
Right.
I'm excited for.
Sana hindi umuulan. This morning umuulan eh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
What else
sana hindi
happened?
umuulan.
What else did I see in the show? Definitely a lot more. There was a lot of syrups. There was a lot of functional drinks that I noticed. So I saw a lot of probiotics, a lot of fizz, and I was thinking, it's like, are we at the point where there is a market for functional items in our beverages na ba ngayon? Kasi I know it was trending in other countries where there's more protein in milk, there's excess parang collagen, there's additional vitamins in certain things. So I wonder whether that's going to be a trend that would be ongoing or progressing, where people are looking for protein alternatives or additional sources of protein in their beverages.
I think it's always been in functional ingredients in beverages has always been a thing. Remember, there used to be, those 8 in 1, 10 in 1, 12 in 1, 18 in 1 sachets. Well, I think it has evolved. Now it's not instant anymore. They're actually putting it into the drink, for a few reasons. One, it's just easier to serve it that way, and then two, whoever adds the water makes the money, right? So that's why those functional drinks are in the market. Like those ginger drinks. I saw a few booths with it, and yung nga, it's yeah. I think the trend's gonna be here to stay. In one way or another, because yung nga, like I said before nga, instant yan eh. Ngayon may liquid na siya. Ray jumped into the chat and sabi nga niya, notice the matcha craze either in food shows and small food shows. Yeah, I was at Podium the other day, and there was a matcha fair, and the lineup, I should have taken a picture. The lineup for these matcha booths, and they were all selling matcha, is insane. Like, I mean, yung yung pila was kala mo may pinipilahan silang celebrity or something for autograph eh. But they were lining up to buy matcha. And as a like, I wish coffee sells that way. I wish. But it's not that way. Matcha is what they're crazy for. Um, so may tanong lang dito. Baka may recommendation po kayo, Master, for coffee immersion experience or farm uh, cup workshop. So for coffee immersion experience, there's a lot of coffee education places. So there's Institute for Coffee Excellence, which is here. We do run classes for brewing, roasting, and barista. There's other smaller events, community events that are happening. I think the best way to start, or the best place to start, is yung mga coffee cupping, community cupping that's happening around the industry. That would be something interesting for you to check out. Also learn. Maganda yung mga ganun eh, yung mga small community events where they get to taste each roaster's coffees. In terms of farm to cup workshops, we don't run those. I believe there are a few. So Philippine Coffee Board usually
Yeah.
has one.
Hmm.
So they might be worth checking out.
Definitely. I think I remember there was one that was hosted by the Philippine Coffee Board, I think a couple months ago. I know they're very active with regards to parang tree plantings and a lot of the other stuff. So you might want to look into the Philippine Coffee Board. I think C Curve collaborators. I know they have a farm. Parang I don't know whether it's open to the public for the farm, whether it's like a farm tour or whatnot. But definitely, yeah, Philippine Coffee Board was the one that I know I saw a post at least.
Yeah. So
Mm-mm.
farm tours is super interesting as well. In terms of learning, um, all these things that we mentioned, like farm tour or barista experience or cupping, these are all separate things. So it's not just one company magaling sa lahat. Usually, kanya-kanya yung mga specialty eh. So if you want to learn how to, if you want to take a barista class, you come here to Institute for Coffee Excellence or Henry and Sons. That we're really good at. One of our other specialties is coffee processing, but the coffee processing that we do is so high level that it's really meant for individuals or companies that are really serious about processing coffee. But for regular consumers, it's a little bit too deep, and it touches on microbiology, a little bit of chemistry, and soil science. So yeah, kanya-kanyang specialty. Like, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there and schools out there that would provide these services. Um, Speaking of cuppings, is there any cuppings happening? Guys who are watching, if you guys know of any cuppings that are happening in the area, feel free to put it down on the chat so that people could attend these cuppings. Um, I think these events are good. Like, it's a good way to meet people, also learn from each other. The other thing that we could advise for people starting up on the coffee industry is, to always taste coffee with other people. That way, you learn more, right? Kasi, for example, if me and Eric here taste coffees, like an Earl Grey to him might taste like something else to me, right? So it's another way to expand our vocabulary on coffee. Also learn about each other's taste preference. Like one of the descriptors that Eric has is rhubarb. I have no idea what rhubarb is. So kung may tinikman kaming kape, tapos sinabi niyang rhubarb, ngayon alam ko na anong rhubarb, di ba? So kung natiknan, if I tasted another coffee, I would say, that's Eric's rhubarb. Um, yeah,
So
so tasting with people is very important. Tasting by yourself, yes, it does help you, but limited siya. It won't help as much as being with other people.
uh, I think who has it? Oh no, it's a Blue Bar takeover. So there is a few new places. So we actually had a couple companies do take over at the Hario Brew Bar. So on the first day we had Primal Brew or Primal Roasters. Second day we had Crema and Creme. Third day we had Prism Coffee Roasters. And then on the last day we had Primal Coffee Roasters. So a few of them did bring Philippine coffees and they were sharing it, and it was quite nice. There were some really good Philippine coffees that they were offering, and it was really clean. It was really nice to taste some of their coffees. Um, yeah, so definitely a lot more specialty shops popping up here and there. Um, yeah. Uh,
So there's a question here at the chat. It says, "Hi Rockstars, I have a question, medyo off topic lang. Since water is a solvent sa coffee when we brew percolation, when is the water stop being hungry to dissolve compounds ng coffee? Or baka naman thinking too much already." All right. So yes, water is a solvent when you're brewing. Um, and that's also why that you know Eric, have you ever seen people do that pour over technique where they pour and then they stop, they let everything drain, and then they
mm,
pour again, they stop. The reason why they do that is so that the extraction power of the water itself is fresh, right? So um, the more pores you have, the more fresh water you have to extract. um, when the water becomes saturated with the compounds, honestly, I wouldn't know when the water stops being hungry for dissolved compounds. But and the best people to ask that would be, the guys who do a lot of pour overs. Um, yung people who's really studied that, or you can experiment yourself. You can check the TDS, or the total dissolved solids in the water, and see how high you can get it during the brew. But yeah, like, I think, mm, I'm not really a pour over guy. The way I do my pour over is, I only usually do pour overs for myself. I usually pull espressos for people, because that's the brewing technique. That's my preferred brewing technique, at least. Um, mm, I wouldn't know how to answer you in terms of knowing how much is the maximum solids or compounds the water can absorb. But I do know that if you extract too much from the coffee, it becomes pretty nasty. You get a lot of the polyphenols that would affect the tactile. You get dryness. You get a lot of negative flavors from it already. So yeah, Eric, would you know?
uh, I was just gonna say, the best person to probably ask, I was gonna say Bene is going to be doing a brew bar takeover in Baguio. He posted it, so you can maybe ask him or some of the previous Brewers champions. Definitely, I think we're at a point where there's a lot of experienced coffee professionals that you can reach out to. Parang and they're quite approachable naman eh. I haven't met anyone in coffee that's very snobby or unapproachable naman. So if you are in one of their brew bar takeovers and you're curious about something, I think you can always ask them some questions naman. I don't think I haven't met anyone who's gatekeeping pa naman eh.
Yeah, plus if they don't know the answer, they'll say they don't know the answer. Like me, I don't know the answer. my,
Oh,
my
wait.
my my 2 cents on it is just extract what's good. Like you don't wanna like fully saturate the water anyway, unless you're trying to make a concentrate, which you're gonna add water into anyway, right? So yeah, I really don't know the answer to that. And I haven't had the time to dive in and check. So maraming salamat sa mga sagot, mga masters. You're welcome anytime po. Yeah, we're really thankful for you guys when you guys jump into the chat. That way, it makes the conversation progress more. That's also why we're testing out this chat function on this software kasi it makes the conversation more interesting. We enjoy doing the Coffee Rockstar podcast because of the viewers, because of the people who join in and listen. So yeah, you were saying, Eric.
Oh, I was gonna say that Ben is gonna be doing a slow bar takeover in Baguio. He posted. You can check out his Instagram. He posted it there. The other thing I also wanted to mention was uh, Judges Skills Program by Coffee Clinic. So that is happening. I think they extended the registration. So far, I think they had a pretty good turnout for it. Definitely something that you guys can check out. If more so that you're interested in understanding how the judging for competitions and whatnot. Keep in mind this is the skills program lang ah. It's not the exam to be a judge for world competitions, but it's gonna become. I think it is a prerequisite for it. So for the people who are interested in trying to figure out the competition itself, because that's part of understanding the game, it would be something for them to explore and understand. I think uh, you know, check it out because the more people who are equipped in more structured competitions, the more competitions can continue to develop and grow here in the Philippines. Because, you know, typical competitions have a tendency to be very casual. So we need to find we need to continue growing the pool, not only of judges, but also competitors so that we can level up a lot of uh, uh, the competition scene, I guess, as for the most part. And the more people understand and appreciate the competition scene, the more people will appreciate nicer coffees. They will appreciate the effort that baristas take part in because it's a natural flow. Eh. So the more competent judges you have, the better feedback our baristas will get. It will constantly improve on its own. So please, 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 if you are interested in it, check it out. I have
Yeah,
someone who's reach, go.
yeah, exactly. No, yeah, like I mean, yeah, the more competitions there are, especially yung World Coffee events competitions, WCE events, the better it pushes the industry. Like recently, Malaysia had their first Brewers Cup champion, World Brewers Cup champion, right? And how that affects the country itself is everyone all of a sudden in their own country is paying attention to coffee because may champion na nga sila. Dati, latte art yung champion nila, latte artist. And then, at the WBC, their national champion came in fourth, right? And of course, it promoted their Malaysian Liberica as well. So I think having these competitions is super important. But the other side to competition, joining competitions is one thing, but understanding the rules itself is something really huge. And the judges skill program gives you the basics. Ang hirap naman kasi kung kung magjo-join ng competition tapos rules man lang hindi binasa, sakit sa ulo nun, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Plus it shows respect, right? Respect to the competition itself. Like if you join a competition, you don't know the rules itself or the judging criteria. It shows that hindi mo nirerespeto yung laro, right? It's like playing basketball or joining a basketball tournament not knowing that you're supposed to dribble the ball while you're running with it, diba? Or knowing where the 3-point line is. Because, like, the nice thing about joining these things is you actually get to learn from your peers. You get to learn from each other. Also, since ito nga yung judges skill program and it's open to everyone, you start understanding who the judges are and what they're looking for. And that's one of the most important thing. Also, you get to understand the score sheet as well, because the score sheet, at the end of the day, you can have the most beautiful presentation with the best concept or the best message. Kaya lang kung you're not, putting points into the score sheet, you still lose, right? I remember.
Basketball with the nicest outfit might not know how to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can have the nicest shoes in a basketball game and not know how to shoot, you still lose. So ito, anong milk temperature ng milk course sa competition? Anong milk temp ng milk course? Okay, so the rules for WBC has been adjusted now. The milk course can be served at any temperature as long as kayang hawakan yung tasa. So that's the only caveat. First of all, the milk has to be steamed. So the interesting thing with the wording these days, and the rules change every year or they adjust it every year, depending on how they want the competitors to go, which way they want the competitors to go. So the interesting thing about the milk course and how they change the wording is it can be served at any temperature as long as the cup can be held, right? Like pwedeng hawakan yung cup, and it's at drinking temperature. So that opens up the possibility of baristas serving cold milk drinks, right? And how they make the milk cold is another question. Bahala sila kung paano nila gagawin as long as it follows the rules. Meaning, you don't add anything to it that would change the flavor, right? So, pwedeng, I don't know, pwede mo siyang ilagay sa malamig na tasa, for example, to change the temperature, and that's allowed. But if huhulugan mo siya ng ice, iba yon, kasi that's adding water in. As far as I understand the rules, yun yung distinction. So that's the other nice thing about these competitions. It's like the law. If it doesn't say it, pwede. If it doesn't say na hindi pwede, pwede. So the language of the rules can be interpreted in multiple ways. Though it is a risk. It is a risk though. There is a risk kasi if the head judge reads it a different way, you're dead, right? So these types of risk, it has to be no risk, no reward, right? So every year I read through the rules and I look at the gray areas, and then with the team I would discuss whether or not the risk is worth it. If it's not worth it, I won't do it. But if it would help my score sheet significantly, then I would take the risk and do it. As long as, yung nga if it doesn't say it, usually gray area, and then we can, nagkaroon ng balloons.
Usually gray area. Gray area, I would, yeah, think long and hard about it. So there are some competitors that's gone to the world. That's the reason why marami mga mga innovations sa WBC kasi they read the rules and nakalusot. So for example, the better vessel. So part of the rules is crema, right? Crema has to be solid, no hole. So that's why we came up with the better vessel, so that we pull the shot onto the better vessel, we serve it to the judges, they evaluate the crema, so you get a check, and then you ask them to remove the crema. So sa rules, lusot yon because you served it with crema. So stuff like that is how innovation happens and how products like the better vessel is born. May comment tayo dito. I guess that the bridge lacking between competitor and judges, I'm happy to hear that may ganyan na workshop. Excited to join. So yeah, the judges skill program is coming up, I believe, August 22. The
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
August 22. I don't know if they still have space, so reach out to Coffee Clinic on Instagram. They are they're a nice group of people. They all they're doing this for the betterment of the coffee community. A lot of them are planning to be judges. Some of them are competitors. So it's always good. And this time they're focused on brewing. So that question about when do you know the water is saturated, you might want to ask it there.
May sasagot.
Yeah, and yeah. Siguro may sasagot. And maganda yung sagot. But in terms of brewers, like I've read the rules a few times for brewers because again I don't participate in brewers. Um, but yeah, there's not much gray areas in brewers to exploit. But speaking of rules, at the WBC, there was one competitor who got disqualified, right,
You
in
know?
Brewers. And no, in Brewers.
Oh, BRC.
And yeah. He got disqualified kasi in the rules, you're not allowed to use any uh, electronic items to in aid of brewing, right? So what this specific competitor did was during the bloom, he put in a vacuum on top of his brewer to help the bloom go faster, right? And doon pa lang na disqualify na siya. So yeah, reading the rules is super important. And then once again, it's up to the head judge. If the head judge says it's okay, then it's okay. But if the head judge says, aha, wait, gray area yan, and in my reading of the rules, bawal. So yeah, sumabit yung guy. And it's not just him. There's a few others, but the few others that was almost disqualified were not disqualified kasi they used their gadget either before the brew or after the brew, right? So I think one vacuumed the coffee before the grinding. The other one, I don't know exactly where the electronic part came in, but they got in trouble too. Kaya lang sila parang pinalusot eh. Yung isa lang, yung the one that vacuumed the coffee during the bloom, got disqualified.
Just to also note that the early bird deadline is extended for the Judges Skills Program, and it is going till August 8th. So for early bird registration, so if you are interested in that, do check it out. I think there's like 5 or 6 slots left. I'm not sure. That's the last I saw in the post.
And the person who's running that program, I think uh, we know him,
Rainier.
right?
Rainier.
Rainier. Yeah.
Rainier.
So ask Rainier about the people who got disqualified at the WBC because I think he was the head judge.
Ooh, so you can get some of the inside scoop.
Yeah, inside scoop. So the fun thing about these events is, not only is it like, to learn about, judging or the skills program or how to be a competitor, you can also ask about what happened in the world and get the inside scoop on why what happened. So, maybe I was wrong about why the person was disqualified. I think he would be the best person to ask, and if I do get a hold of him, I will ask. I'm just too shy to message him on Instagram and ask.
I, okay,
So,
I wonder
yeah.
whether that's part. Are they allowed to tell ba, or are they part of like a secrecy program that they're not allowed to discuss what happened in the back? The parang what happens in
Hindi,
the back rooms is in the stays in the back room.
hindi, kasi ano naman eh, like it's in the public naman yung score sheet eh. Yung ranking eh, DQ ang nakasulat sa kanya eh.
Yeah, but they
So
don't say why
so
they were DQ'd, do
I
they?
No, it does not specify why they were DQ'd. That's why it's a mystery. Like whenever someone's DQ'd, it's a mystery. And then you if there's a video, you look, right? And then you read the rules and you go, "Oh, this must be it. He used this thing during the bloom, got in trouble." And you can also see that specific one. I was watching it, and you can see the change in his demeanor. The dude was super super confident and happy about what he was presenting until it dawned on him that yung makikita mo, that meme where it's at that moment he knew he was beep. You can see the moment. You can see the moment in his eyes, and all of a sudden he's not excited anymore. Like yung parang too little, too late. Like realizing that what you just did and you practice months and months of doing was was would cause you to get disqualified like a little bit too late. But here's what I was wondering about. Like, of course, when you're practicing for a routine on the world stage, you have your friends, right? You have a coach, you have a team behind you. I can't believe that nobody in the team mentioned it. Di ba? Like,
Eh,
like, whenever I'm about to try something, out of the box, thinking outside of the box or gray area, everyone I know, at least everyone in the team would say, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
well, yeah, I don't understand. Kasi ibig sabihin lumusot sa if they did it in their nationals, it means that it uh either it's something new that they tried or they were able to pull it off in their nationals. And
So I don't know if Eric was the one who hanged or it's me, but it seems like his stream has paused, or is it my stream? I'm not sure. But Kirk says he's present. Hi Kirk, how you doing? Kamusta ka this afternoon? We're just chatting about Eric. I think you went on pause, or did I? I'm not sure. I didn't hear what your last words were. Um, but yeah, we were talking about disqualifications and why people get disqualified. Usually, reasons. Once again, like it's really up to the head judge, and for sometimes I think I saw one sa barista naman na um, my talking to people in the crowd could be viewed as negative as well. So when you're on stage, if you guys are competitors, focus on your stuff, focus on your what you're doing out up there. Time moves so fast when you are on stage. I remember my preparation time. I didn't even notice what was happening around me. It was just I was so focused on uh, what preparing the items and ensuring that um, the performance goes well. So, may tanong dito. Mag-improve po ba ang lasa ng espresso if my blooming face even though the espresso is designed for commercial? Fast service 9 bar all the way. Okay. So the For espresso, there is a thing called pre-infusion, and there's some machines that have a lot of espresso machines actually have pre-infusion built in. It's just the way the group head is designed. Um, the way in barista competitions they take out the pre-infusion, they actually turn it off, right? So it's direct to 9 bar. So I think would the taste of the coffee improve if there is pre-infusion? Depends. Depends. So, like all things coffee, it really depends on what coffee you're using, how old it is, kung fresh ba siya, luma na. But what I found was if I screw up my grind size, like I'm at home, someone gives me a new coffee that I'm not familiar with, and I grind it too fine. Ang what I realize if I extend my pre-infusion time, that allows my coffee to it allows me to save the coffee, like it doesn't just choke. So I think pre-infusion has a huge help for coffees we're not familiar with. In terms of using 9 bar all the way, that's my preferred way because that's how we compete. Wala namang pre-infusion on the world stage. So I actually practice without pre-infusion. So on my machine, I just go straight to 9 bar, and the way I dial in my shot is in preparation for that. Yeah.
And
So,
this is very,
yeah, yes.
and this is why you also need to make sure that you check with the competition organizers whether or not what the settings of the machines are going to be, because
Yep.
the pre-infusion can technically, well, if you're used to practicing with tapos bigla lang without, then your whole thing you might have to rethink.
Yep, yep. Yeah, so knowing the machine is half the battle in competitions. But in your own setup, in your coffee shop, you set it up however you want to set it up. It is your coffee shop. In our coffee shop here at the Giving Cafe, here in Sheridan, we are using an Astoria. It does have a pre-infusion. It's got pre-infusion built in. It's a regular group head. The machine we have in our Mabini branch is a Slayer, and that one has flow. So, our baristas have a choice of going from flow to 9 bar, depending on the coffee that you're asking them to brew. So, yeah, it really depends on the coffee. And yung nga, sa coffee shop, right? Here in my lab, all my pre-infusions are turned off. The same at home, my pre-infusion is turned off. So you wanna practice, you wanna stick with one method and just stick with it and just keep practicing with it, because the more you change, the more hahabulin mo yung palit, di ba? Like, I mean, if you brew with pre-infusion on today and then off tomorrow, the results aren't gonna be the same. So if you're trying to save coffee, like ako, I'm super super tipid with coffee. I don't want to throw coffee out. I fully utilize the coffee itself. I don't change that much parameters. I don't even change grind sizes that much. Like I try to stick to one grind size and just change the dose up or down. Yeah. So, guys who are joining us, welcome to the Coffee Rockstar podcast. I'm just here with Eric. We're just hanging out, answering questions. We just had a interesting conversation about the rules of the competition, which it's super important to read it. Once again, kung may mga gray areas kayo mahanap, first of all, keep it to yourself, because these gray areas or new ideas can be an advantage. The important thing is to ask. The head judge, right? But you have to ask it in a way that they are not coaching,
Yeah.
right? Kasi bawal yun. So, yeah, funny story. I did find a few ideas in the 2026 WBC rules. of which I already wrote World Coffee Events about, and they basically answered me by asking me to read that same paragraph, and then they said, uh, anything more than that answer is coaching. So I got an answer, no answer. Parang ganon. Parang ganon nangyari. Parang ang sagot nila is, your interpretation is accurate based on rule number blah blah blah. And then they said, anything more than that is considered coaching, so I can't help you anymore.
Well, I'm curious. So you're asking questions for 2026, but the moment that the competition happens in Panama, that's when they parang when you don't know what the 2027 rules are going to be yet
No,
until
but
probably after 2026 competition
yeah,
happens.
but I'm there's no 2027 rules, so I'm studying 2026.
And with hopes that they don't change 20. Well, I don't think it
Yeah,
would be a dramatic change.
there was a year where they changed. There was the year between 2019 and 2020, or 2021, something like that. They changed the rules significantly. It went from taste balance in the score sheet to taste experience. So that was a huge change. So it really depends. Like and plus yung what they're trying to do naman, especially WBC. Like once again, I'm not that familiar with brewers. They adjust the rules towards where they want specialty coffee to go. Like basically, they adjust it to make sure to one to stop the baristas from doing something they don't want them to do, and then two to drive the baristas a certain way, right? So if they like yung bagong rule on the milk, pwede nang malamig yung milk. That means that they want the baristas to get creative with the temperature of the milk. So if you watch Ben Put's routine in the 20 last year in Milan, he froze his milk with liquid nitrogen, right? And that's a huge gray area in the rule, because in the rules it says you're not allowed to add anything to the milk. In his case, his argument is he did not add anything because the liquid nitrogen dissipated into the environment and disappeared. All he did was change the temperature. So that's pretty cool. I think that's one of the perfect examples of high risk, high reward. He had the top milk score.
Do you think that in order to really stand out in the competition, you need to bring something that changes the perspective of the industry on the coffee, or is it good enough to bring a unique coffee and pull it well in the competition?
I think it really depends. Like, if there's really if you're gonna change the coffee world, then it has to be a significant contribution, right? Like an example would be the better vessel. That's something no one's ever done before, and it changes the coffee world. We basically made crema removal a thing, right? Now everyone's doing it. Another example would be Ben Put's. Yeah, maraming contributions to Ben Put. He's been competing for over 8 years, or eight times na siya nag world, no? Yung freeze distilled milk, that's also his thing. So marami talagang possibilities that can be done in the world stage. And usually it's positive naman, right? There's not much. Mm, well, the negative ones disappear. People forget about it because it's a way to get, when somebody gets disqualified once again, it's not viewed as something positive, diba? So they get punished for it. So yeah, yeah, I think yung nga, high risk, high reward. You gotta really think outside the box, read the rules, and understand it.
When Mikal won, did he do anything that really stood out, or parang did he change, or was it more the theming behind his competition?
I think I think in terms of technique, he didn't really do anything new. For him, he just had Good coffee, that's one, right? He structured his routine around the score sheet, and then he had a very meaningful concept. So those are the key things, right? Like um, you can introduce something new, like a new gadget or a new tool that would change the coffee world. But if the coffee is still not good enough, it's not good enough. At the end of the day, you win or lose based on the score sheet.
Wait, he did the
Though,
milk
though
breading, right?
for the milk, he used a Thermomix. So basically, a heated blender for the milk. Um, I think I think for him, the way he approached it was there was a heavy score on barista performance and barista professionality. I don't remember what they call
Professional.
it in the score
Yeah.
sheet. Yeah, but that's where he scored, like, top scores.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kasi I remembered who was it? The one in who the one who won in Boston did the parang also went with very it was the approach and how it was presented, right? But she didn't really do much on innovation, or was there? I could be
Um,
wrong.
yeah, not so much on innovation, but more of the presentation. Doon sila lumalamang. So, yung nga like I think back in 2019, presentation didn't have that much weight, right? There was no multiplier. Now there is. So it really comes down to, yeah, again, everything has to come down to the score sheet. So from the looks of it, the score sheet is starting to trend towards the barista in the presentation. Aside from the experience, taste experience, tactile experience, which is there. Accuracy is still important, but now it's scored from 1 to 3, right? Um, so with the multiplier of times 4, I think, for accuracy, for taste descriptors. So yun yung mga ano, yun yung mga, yeah, it's shifting. The competition's slowly adjusting. I can't wait to see where it goes in 2027. With currently the hopes is there's not much change kasi we're already preparing. In terms of concept, I think we have a good concept being prepared right now. Um, yeah, yun. So guys who are in the chat, once again, thank you for joining us, and everyone who's joined us earlier. We're almost at our 2 hour mark, so we're gonna say goodbye really soon. We're just going to wrap things up. Eric, any words from your end before we say goodbye to everyone?
I guess just to wrap things up for the month of August, at least the first week of August, I think it's pretty chill. Not much is happening, as far as I know. But things will start rolling down, and it'll start picking up next month. So again, just a reminder to people, if you're interested in Judges Skills program, because that's part of the multipliers, like, parang nagkakasino ka dyan, may mga multiplier dyan. So if you're a competitor and you need to know what the multipliers are or where to put emphasis on, maybe it'd be a good thing to understand the score sheet. And then I think if you're interested in Coffee Please, that's happening next month. And then Capicon, which is happening the following month. And again, just for people who want to reach out to Coffee Farm Tours, there's a lot of things that are popping up. I think the Philippine Coffee Board would be a good one to ask, or if not, you should ask around. I'm sure there's someone who can direct you to a farm. Yeah.
Ayun. So that's it for the Coffee Rockstar podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us today in this nice, interesting conversation. We are now uploading our podcasts on Spotify. We are also available on the Michael Harris YouTube channel. So those are updated. There is the live podcast version, which is what you're watching right now, and then there's the one that's a little bit edited and condensed so that we just jump on to the interesting parts. So from the looks of it, we're gonna be doing this more often. Bodhi said, thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. Hey, Bodhi, kamusta po? Hope you're doing well where you are. Yeah, we look forward to seeing each and every one of you again in the next episode. Hopefully, it happens more regularly these days. And that's it. Welcome, August. Isang buwan na lang, Burr months na, and then magkaka-Carmageddon na ulit.
Ah, Jose Marichan.
Where?
No, he'll pop up in the end of August.
Oh, I was thinking of the traffic. So yeah, the Burr months is coming soon, and we look forward to doing more of this show with you guys. Hopefully, we can do it in other locations as well. So we are heading to Iloilo in the next few days. So if there's anyone who has recommendations on coffee shops we can visit, feel free to message. Let us know. We'll come check it out. We are looking for good coffees while we're there. And once again, thank you for watching and have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.